Hello everyone, welcome to another Adobe Photoshop tutorial. Today I'm going to focus on the Adobe Photoshop 2024 and beta versions. I'm going to go over some of the tools and techniques that they have incorporated in the last couple versions. I hope this is helpful so you can learn some of the new techniques and make your workflow a little bit faster. I'm going to start with the Adobe Photoshop beta version because there are some things that are not available in the 2024 that are available here. But then I'm going to move to the 2024 because I'm not sure if everybody has downloaded the beta version. I want to make clear that the Adobe Photoshop 2024 and the Adobe Photoshop beta versions are two separate softwares. So you do have to download them independently, and you can technically have them both open. So right now I'm on the beta version, and I have also the regular version, the 2024 version, open. So you can have both softwares open simultaneously. So I want to point that out in case like you're working in your Photoshop and you realize like, oh, I don't have that. It could be that you're in the different version, either in the beta version or in the 2024 version. So I want to point that out. I'm going to start with the beta version because this one incorporates a filter option that is not on the 2024. So to go over that, I want to point out that when you go to filter under Photoshop here, I'm going to make this highlighted so you can see where I'm at. So when you go on the top bar to filter, usually the legacy ones are these filters right here. They are helpful. I have used the blur, the Gaussian blur, noise to add noise to something or sharpen. The way that these filters work, they are applied directly to the layer that you have selected. So right now, I only have one layer, my background layer, so you can see it right here. If I was going to go and apply a noise and I add noise, it will be applied directly to that layer. Now, they are playing around with this idea with the parametric filters here. These are a little bit different. These behave like adjustment layers. The way that these work is if I click on one of them, it's going to add a layer above my background layer. That's going to affect that layer. I'm going to click on one. Let's do the glitch filter. Let's try that one. See how it works. It's going to take a little bit to render. So we're going to have to be a little bit patient. Also because I have both Photoshop open, there's a lot of RAM memory being used right now because I have multiple files open and both platforms open and at the same time recording it. So I do have a lot of stuff open right now. So I hope that this doesn't crash on me. But the way that this works is you click on the filter that you want to apply. And then once this gets applied, it will add that layer above the background layer. And you can actually stack them on top of each other. Okay, so the way that this works is it behaves like adjustments on stack on top of each other. And you can also replace them. So you can go back later and change it if you need to. You don't have to like deal with the options that you have at first. You can always go back and change them. So right now my Photoshop is very slowing down because I have too many stuff. Maybe I do have to quit the 2024 to make sure that this is working properly. But right now it's being very slow. There we go. Okay, so this is how it looks. Don't get scared. This is just a filter that's creating a glitch on my image. Now, when I open my image, you will see that this window comes up. These are the properties, okay, of that filter. Now, by default, they're, kind of the glitch's density is high. The intensity is also high. So I'm going to lower the intensity and also the density as well. So it's not like too chaotic. So we get a little bit more, detail of the person. It's not like just a big glitch on the background. So let's lower this one, maybe like somewhere there. Let's see how that looks. I just want to make sure that I can see the face. There we go. That's a little better. So you can see this is with the glitch lower. That's the effect I get. Now, if you notice over here under the layers, that's the layer that I had initially. And now I have the background copy, the smaller filter, then parametric filter, and they're right here. If I ever want to change it, I can just double click it. It will open the properties and I can change the settings again, which is pretty cool. The other thing I can do, I can click on a different one. However, if I click on one, it will basically replace that one that I have right now. So if you want to add it on top, you want to press Option and then click on it. If I don't do that, what it will do is replace the duotone with the glitch that I had before. Right now you can see here I have the duotone and I have the glitch. So just be aware that if you want to stack them and combine them, you do have to press Option and click on it. If you just click on it, it's just going to replace what you had with something else. So that's the one thing I wanted to show you on the beta version. I do have more files open on the Photoshop 2024, so I'm going to jump over there. But I want to show you that you can play with these. You can play with the settings. One cool thing that you have here is you can randomize it. So if you don't know what you want, you can basically click on randomize, and it will do a different combination. And you can basically keep clicking it until you find something that you like, which is pretty cool because sometimes you just don't know what you're looking for. So this is really helpful for that reason. You can basically keep clicking this until you find something that you like, which I think is pretty nice to include on your workflow. And you can go through all of these. And again, I'm going to click on one of them just for the fun of it so you can see what happens. And there are some cool ones. There's some that probably I will never use. But I just want to share that this is something that they're playing around in Photoshop. And I'm assuming this is probably going to either be replaced or added with the new version that will come out later on. So I just wanted to show it to you in case you haven't seen it, or maybe they update it, soon, and then you don't know what this is. This is what the parametric filters are. It's a good thing that they're basically on top of each other and not applied directly to the filter. And you can basically delete, one of them if you want to delete it, which is pretty cool. So let's say that that's the one thing I wanted to show you here. I'm actually going to quit the Photoshop beta so that way I can focus on the 2024 and it doesn't crash on me. So let's quit, don't save. Okay, so now let's go to the 2024 so we can see some cool things. Oh, all right, here we are in the 2024. You would notice on the top left which version you're in. So this is the 2024. And I have several images here that I wanted to play with and see what happens on these images. So once we're here, there's a couple of things I want to point out. The first thing is this contextual taskbar that you will see floating around your window. If you come from a previous Photoshop version, you were like, what is this? At the beginning, I was also, oh, okay, that can be helpful. Then I was annoyed. Then I fell in love with it again. So it's like a love-hate relationship. The reason is it pops up in different places. And sometimes when I'm zoomed in, I don't want that thing in my way. Okay, so if you're like me, and I don't like, usually when I'm working, I basically hide everything and I'm like, working like this where I see no panels because I know the shortcuts and I like to be able to see my entire image. So if you're like me, it's an easy way to basically pin this. So what you want to do is you want to put it outside your image and you can click here on these three little dots. Let me make sure that you can see this. And then you go down to pin bar position. So where you pin it, you can see that it has that check mark. It basically stays there. So even if I zoom in, I go somewhere, it just stays there. It doesn't go anywhere else. It just stays on that part of the screen, which is helpful. Before I knew, that you could do that, that thing kept popping on the way. And anyway, it was annoying. So make sure that you pin it. If you don't want it, in your image, you can basically hide it. If you don't see it and you're wondering, well, I don't know where that bar is, you can go to Window and then find it at the bottom here. It says Contextual Taskbar, and then it will open up again. So you can also get rid of it if you don't like to see it and then open it whenever you want it. But I wanted to point it out because probably this is something that you were wondering, like, what is this thing here? And it will change depending on the scenario. So the options here are never going to be the same. It depends on what you're doing. And I just wanted to point that out because if you're, you see, like if I do the crop, it changes. If I do another tool, it will change. So that's one thing that, you have to be aware of. Now I'm going to pin it somewhere up here so it's not on my way. Oh, it's already pinned. Perfect. So the tool that I want to show you now is if you press the J, it will go to it, the remove tool. Now it might go to the healing brush. So make sure that's the one that looks like the healing brush, but it has these little stars. That's basically to remove things from your image. It behaves like the brush, so you can make it bigger in the right bracket key, smaller in the left bracket key. But the cool thing that they enhance on this tool now is that you don't have to paint the person. You can basically go around it, or the object, doesn't have to be a person. You basically go around it. Oh, now Photoshop is delayed. It will basically do it in a second. Let's try it again. So you paint around it and it will select that entire area, identify what you want to get rid of, and then it will create the data to replace it with something else. And that something else obviously is going to be, automatically generated according to the background of what's around it. So you can see that it took the person away. Pretty cool. And it works really well. So I can go like that, select that person, oop, gone, person, third person. Let's say that you're here and you're just like, oh, I really like this place and I like the picture. I want to print it big and put it in my house, but I don't want to see all those people there. You can basically get rid of them pretty quickly. It works better than the healing brush and other tools for these kind of scenarios. Now, it is working well here because the surrounding area kind of follows a pretty simple pattern. If you have a wall that has like a lot of texture, it can behave a little bit weird. So you want to be careful also, where you're selecting this. The other thing is too, you don't want to be doing big areas at once. You want to do like little by little. It works better that way. If I were going to like select a big chunk of area, it probably will fail. The other thing is, depending on what you have close to, you want to be really careful. So if I want to do this, I don't want to go around him because then I'm going to select the share and it's not going to be that good. So I'm going to do that just so you can see what happens. So let's say that I'm selecting the share there, it will replace them and it might look a little bit weird. So the option that you have, instead of going around, you can do the traditional way where you were able to paint inside the person and then it will replace it with something. Okay. I think in this kit scenario, it's probably going to work better. I'm assuming. Let's see what, maybe it will surprise me. Photoshop keeps getting so advanced that sometimes you just get surprised with some of these tools and how well they render. So let's see, you can see that you have to be patient. The bigger the area that you select, the harder. So here we go. This is what I was talking about. Look at this. Like it, yeah, from far away probably will look fine, but if you're zooming in or you're printing it, that might look a little bit weird. So in this scenario, what I would do is do this. Paint the person only. Do it like inside of it. Okay, something like that. And then it works better because you didn't went over, the share. So now let me show you where this can fail. Like that looks pretty cool. Like if I go from my history, obviously I usually would have done a copy of my layer, but because I want to go faster and not bore you, I'm doing it that way. So let's say that I want here, let's do another shot so you can see the before and after. So that's how it was. This is how it's now. Pretty cool. Like you can't tell that there was people there. Now let's say that I want to get rid of this whole island here, the small island here. If I want to do that and I go around and I do that and I go here, let's assume that I do that. I'm wondering if it will work. Let's see. I'm going to have to put on the comment there. Yes, no, maybe by the time this is done, I will be able to read it. But I think it's going to not work well. I have my feeling because there's different, colors, shapes, textures here. So I think when you have that combination of surfaces, colors, and contrast, even though it's smart, it might not work well. Okay. So this is a scenario that maybe I'll be, oh, there you go. Yep. So, if you're doing a big chunks like that, it might not work well. Now, for little things, let's say if you want to just get rid of this, that will work probably really good. So anything like that will be fine. But if it's too big and it has like multiple textures, not great. Anyway, I just wanted to share this, new enhancement of this tool. You might have not used it, so I think it's really useful. It works quick. It will make your workflow go a lot faster, particularly if you're just cleaning up little things that you see on your image. And it can be applied in multiple different ways. You can either click on something small and have the brush bigger, or you can go around it like I've been doing. And that's the one thing I wanted to show you, because before it used to be like you had to like paint the entire thing. But right now, let's see if this actually renders so we can move to, yeah, that worked well. So look, that looks pretty awesome. I think that from here, you can tell that it did clean up the image really well. So anyway, that's the first image I wanted to share. So let's go back and close it. Actually, no, I'm not going to close it because I want to show you something else. Let's do this one instead. Let's zoom in. I want to show you another scenario just so you can see how it behaves in another image. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go around it. select it, and connect it. So you do have to connect it for it to work. Well, let's see, removing area. Let's see. This one has more texture because of the glare of the sun, the reflection of it in the water. So I'm wondering how it will behave on this one. I'm not sure if it will do a good job. So let's see. Okay, so well, yeah, not great. I do see some halo here. Of course, if you show it to someone that didn't know that we were doing this, it might be more complicated, but I can tell definitely the difference. It's not as smooth as this area or that area. You can see there's something kind of strange happening here. But, overall, it works okay. You can maybe clean it up with some other tools, the patch tool or something like that, or the clone stamp, and try to clean it. So it does make your workflow faster. Let's say that. One other tool that I wanted to go over in some scenarios is the object select tool. I think in this case it can be helpful. Let's say that you want to select the water to make it a different color. The way that this tool works is also a smart tool. It tries to identify different areas of your image. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see. So for example, right now I have it, I'm not clicking on anything, I'm just hovering over the buildings, and it identifies the buildings like, oh, do you want to adjust this? And you can do this, so you can basically click. That's all I did, I click, and now I can go to curves, and I can maybe make the buildings a little bit lighter. I could do that, right? I can also go to the image, and let's say that I want to select the water and make it more blue. I can also do that. I can come here to the image, select the water. Let's see if it does a good job. Yep, it selected it. And then I can go to color balance, let's say. And maybe I want, the water to be a little bit more blue. Let's see if I can do that here. Less yellow. That looks a little bit weird, but you get the idea. You can kind of tweak it to make it look a little bit better. So right now I have the adjustments here of the two things that I did. So I'm using the select tool to basically select a subject. In this case, it's the water. In this case, the building, and I basically am adjusting those two accordingly. The cool thing, you can see that line, it actually adds like a little bit of a feather. So you won't see like a sharp line, which is really helpful to not make it look weird. So I think that, let's see the before and after. So you see, it's just like switching the image a little bit, making it look a little bit better. And it does help. And in this scenario, might not be the best image to show you, but that's something I had, and I thought, oh, I just play around with that. So I'm going to close this one. Now you saw another tool that you can use in combination with the adjustment is the object selection tool. Okay, so I'm going to close that file, don't save it. Now I want to start diving into the thing that everybody's talking about, and they're so excited about Photoshop, with AI technology incorporated into Photoshop to generate images. Now, there's a lot of mixed feelings about this out there. I think it's totally fine to utilize if you're doing something creative and you want to also do layouts and advance your workflow. In my workflow, probably I won't use it as much because I like to own my own images. I do have to say that if you use any of the AI incorporated into Photoshop, it actually tags your image. And you can find that in content credentials, and you will be able to see that this person use AI inside Photoshop. Okay, so don't think that if you use AI, people cannot know. They can know. It's actually tagged on the metadata of your file that you use AI when you do it in Photoshop, at least. Okay, so I want to point that out so you guys know what you're using, and what are the expectations. People will use AI in the future. I bet a lot of people will use it. It definitely is going to be more dependent on the context and what you're using it for. If you're a journalist and somebody that should be sharing images are more truthful, or if maybe you work in an environment that is not ethical to use AI. But in this case, it's my duty to show you some of the stuff that is out there that you can use, and it's actually pretty fun. I thought about this image, and I have some rocks here that I put on these little branches to make it look like they're birds, but I think I'm going to convert these rocks to actual birds. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to press L for the lasso tool, and you can find it here on the third icon in the toolbar. I'm going to go around the rock, something like this, select it, Now I'm going to go to this contextual taskbar, and you can see that it says generative fill. I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to have this text box that you can write whatever you want. And I want a bird. I want a real bird. And then you click generate. Okay. And then it's going to basically send that data to the cloud. It's going to gather information, read the image, and it's going to give me 3 suggestions for this scenario. The cool thing about this is that I can actually click generate again and have 3 new ones. So you don't have to use the 3 versions that it gives you at first. You can have multiple versions added to it. So let's see what it gives us on this first one. Boom, that's a bird. Don't love it. Ooh, this one looks realistic. Oh, that's crazy. Let's see. That one looks kind of fake. So I think the middle one looks pretty cool. One of the things that you would notice, it actually selected this branch and kept it in front of the bird, which is pretty awesome. And if you notice, the lighting kind of matches, the color palette matches. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to add a couple more birds here. Let's see what happens. I'm going to generate fill. I'm going to put bird, generate again. Let's see if it does a good job. Now, this is surreal. Like, I started at Photoshop 2. I never imagined that Photoshop was going to be able to generate an image for you. So again, we have a couple. Ooh, that one looks kind of cool because it's blurry, so it could be the shallow depths of field, so it's further back. That one looks good too, actually. So maybe let's keep that one just to have a different bird looking a different way. And then let's do the last one here. Generate. Maybe for this last one, I'll do a couple of generations, so that way you can see that you can add more to it. So let's do that so you can see a couple of different ones. Now, I purposely selected this image because it has a lot of details. You can see all these branches, and it's actually doing a good job integrating the image, which is crazy. That's what AI does for you. It definitely reads the entire image, figures out a lot. Like, that was pretty cool too with the lighting. Kind of like that. Let's see with another one. That's kind of sharp. That one is a little more sharp. Oh, that one's cute. I don't know. You guys have to decide. If you like a different one, I'll put that one. You guys will then tell me, like, no, you picked the wrong one. The other one looks more realistic. But again, this is like, it's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, there are a little bit of imperfections here, there. The hair looks pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, look from that. Let's go to the beginning, take a screenshot. Let's go up. So that was how it was. This is how it is now. So, oh, now it froze on me. Pretty cool. There's a lot of data. So one thing that you would notice every time you use AI, it will add, I'm going to put it here so you can see it. It will add this layers, okay? So you can actually adjust each of them independently. So if I want, for example, one bird to be darker, let's say the one on the right, which I think is this one, let's double check. Yeah, so if I want that, I can do a curve on top, do a clipping mask by clicking option and clicking on it, and I can make that bird darker if I want, okay? So it's pretty cool how you can like also adjust each of them accordingly, okay? And every one of them that is an AI generated image, okay, it will have this little icon. So it tells you it's a generative layer. That's what that means. It actually adds a mask as well. So that way it blends the 2 images together. It's pretty cool. So that's basically the entire thing about. Now, if I want to go crazy, let's say now I want to combine with the select subject. Let's see if it will, maybe I should flatten it so that way it works better. Flatten image. Now let's see if it will identify all of them. I'm going to do it like this. Select the entire thing. So it only selects the birds. We'll see if it will do that. Boom. That's pretty cool. Now, if I want to do the opposite, I do Command-Shift-I. Now I'm going to generate a background. I don't know what would be cool. I don't know. Building. Building. So as if they're in a building or something like that. Let's see. That's kind of ambiguous though. Like, it's just a lot of like, I don't know how it's going to interpret that building. You can also do more specific quotes for when you're generating, but actually that's not bad. Well, it's kind of bad on that bird a little bit. Let's see the other buildings. That's crazy. So, again, it went from an image that was not like this to now like a whole different environment. So, that's AI for you in Photoshop. You can do crazy things and you can generate a new version. I'm going to do another set, see how it looks. This is what I was talking about. That it gives you three, but you're not stuck to those three. You can click generate again and it'll give you more options. Let's see if one of them is more realistic or more interesting. So that's now, not really. That one's not bad. Well, I don't know. The bird kind of looks weird there. Um, so anyway, this is like, it's okay to experiment and play around with this. I actually kind of like it how it was before with the black background more than this. I kind of like that more. It's more surreal. But anyway, that's just my thought. Again, that is with the, you know, AI generative fill. You can basically fill anything that you have selected and add something. Like you can actually add a person here if you wanted to and select that, and add a person in there or something like that. Um, it's pretty cool. So let's try a different image so you can see something else. Let's assume that you want to play around with this one and add a sailboat here. So I can do the lasso tool. Let's do that. And then generative fill and put sailboat, generate. And come on, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a lot of things open at once. But this actually takes a while. So if you're experiencing very slow speed to your computer, be patient. You might have to close a lot of things because this takes a lot of data. Um, but it works really well. Let's see how this one works. This one will give me also three. Oh, wow. Three options. So that one, it's a little, I will adjust the contrast. Feels like a little bit out of place. Let's see the other one. That's okay. Let me generate one more time. I'm kind of curious to see if we'll do a better one. Let's see. That actually looks more realistic. I feel like that one kind of like fits somehow the image better. Ooh, this one is the one. We got the winner. That one looks good too, actually. But I don't know why. I kind of like this one. I feel like it fits more realistic on this image. Kind of you can see the people now from far away looks great. If you actually zoom in, you will see that that looks very strange. But from a long distance, like that, that's not bad. One more thing I want to introduce regarding the generative fill, you have also the generative expand. And one of the things that happen to a lot of people is when they're trying to post on social media, there's specific ratios that platform has that it doesn't allow your image to fit perfectly. Now, there's a workaround now with Photoshop. If you select the crop tool, and let's say that you want to incorporate this image to be more like a square, you can basically do that and let's say expand your image like that. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but on the tool here under fill, you have transparent. So if I have transparent and I approve it, it just becomes transparent. Now, if I do that and I change this to generative expand and I expand my image, let's say more to like a square, whoop, doesn't have to be perfect. As long as I have generative expand and I click on it, it will basically generate that top bar and bottom bar. Instead of having it transparent or white, it will fill it in with information so that way it looks real. So let's see how this image works. So that's something that we didn't cover before, but it's pretty cool. So you can see that it added this area here that looks like water and the sky. And it doesn't just work for this. Like if you have another image, let's see if I have another one like this one, and I do that, let's see how it works. I don't know, do I want to do it both sides? Let's do both sides better. Oop, oop, oop. Let's do both sides. Kind of wonder, I'm going to do only a little because I feel like if I do it too much, it will be kind of crazy. But if you have to do something like that, I think it will do an okay job. Let's see. I am excited about this because I do get annoyed sometimes when it's just by a little bit that it doesn't fit for example, on Instagram or something like that. Now you can kind of push it a little bit, and even if it's not 100%, it's not that important because the main thing is here. So the edges, I feel like if it's a little bit off, no, most people would not notice, especially in social media. Now, I would not print this image though. But look, this look pretty, whoa, wrong key. Let's do zoom in. If I zoom in, so you actually can notice it. You can see that softness here. That's the part that was added. It adds like a blur to it. But from far away for social media or something like that, nobody will notice because you will see it not even this big. You probably see it something like that or smaller. You cannot tell at all. But if you're printing, I would not use it. You would definitely notice it. Then that's when some of the other tools that are more manual might work to be able to expand it. Now that I'm in this one, let's do one last playful thing. I'm going to select the lasso tool, and with this, we'll end it. I'm going to select this here, and then let's assume that I'm going to put a hand there. Generative fill, let's put hand. Let's see what comes up. Generate. As if somebody's sticking their hand out of there. It's just a hole. Let's see. The surprise is about to come. Let's see if it does a good job or not. Ooh, that's like a baby hand. That's kind of creepy. All right. So that's one hand. Let's see. That did not look good at all. That one, kind of, feel like you can make it work. Actually, this one doesn't look that bad. I do think the light is a little bit weird here. So one of the cool things that you can do is you can make a curve. I'm going to do a clipping mask, attach it to that one by pressing Option and clicking in between. And I'm going to lower this so it's a little bit darker, maybe. I think like that will be better. It looks more realistic that way, because if it's in there, it should be darker, right? It's like creeping in. Anyway, that is AI for you in Photoshop. It's kind of crazy. Generative fill is that one. And I also did the generative expand when you're cropping it a little bit wider. Okay, so anyway, that's some of the tools that I wanted to show you. I'm going to recap again. We went over the parametric filters on the Photoshop beta version. That's the one that I applied the filters. That was the glitch. It's pretty cool. I went over the remove tool update that you can go around to remove things. That's pretty cool. And then the generative fill, that's the one that I just did right now, or the generative expand. There's a couple of more things that they have updated. I can go over one real quick. This is the last one I'll do, flatten image. Let's do Command J to duplicate it. You can go under filters and then go to camera raw. Let's see, filter right here. And you have in there also a lens blur filter that you can use. So this is like, you can see that it says early access right here. So let me highlight it so you can see it. Lens blur early access. So this is one of the cool things that you can do. Is like you can apply some depth of field. Okay. This is not the best image because it's actually kind of flat. But the idea is that you can create that depth of field effect in your image. Okay. There we go. Okay. So this is the range of the focus. So, the more deep you can have it, or the narrower. So you can see how it's blurry on the edges. Okay. And then it's staying sharper on the middle. It also changes what kind of bokeh you have for the blur, and you can lower the blur amount. Actually, it kind of works pretty good. It makes it feel a little more depth on this picture by having the edges kind of blur like that. So this is also a new tool. I just wanted to, show it to you because that's something new in Camera Raw, and you can actually access it from Photoshop, come here, and then apply it to your picture. I'm going to press OK for done. And anyway, that's like some of the tools that I wanted to incorporate. I hope that you can have some fun. Again, this is like a quick overview. I kind of went fast, and there's more little things that are in there, but I think the main ones are the generative fill, the generative expand, the remove tool, the parametric filters. I'm wondering if that's going to be incorporated in the 2025 version of Photoshop. But since you're diving into Photoshop and you already know some Photoshop, I thought it would be important to know some of the updates that they have been throwing out there. If you haven't seen some of the videos, you can go back and watch them and review some of the techniques and combine them with these ones. So that way you're more capable of doing cool stuff in Photoshop. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.